This is Russ with Joe's Gaming and Electronics, today with another highly requested video. Today I'll be showing you guys how to replace the main wire on a Powerbeats 3 wireless. So, main wire is bad, it seeped through, leaked in, and it just took off the rubber cover to the control talk. So this main wire is no good. So I like to go ahead and start on the left side. I usually take everything apart before I even go into the new main wire. So go ahead and heat everything up, or just heat up the top cover. Make sure it's not too hot because you will burn the cover and it's not going to look good when you put it all back together. Just go ahead and use the motion for the side to pop it open, and don't go up because it will start cracking right here. So you do not want to have that. So left side, go ahead and just separate the both of the sides. So since we're going to be using the same power board, I'm going to go ahead and take it apart with the cover that's attached to the ribbon, which is to catch Bluetooth ribbon. So I'll leave that on. Usually I will go ahead and take it off so I could reuse the cover if the main board is bad. So let's take that off, and then on the end over here there's going to be a piece of glue. Just give it a nice and easy heat, not too much to burn the components, because you are going at it on the main board. So just make sure you just give it a little bit, and then just prop right open, just at an upward motion. Don't dig too deep, just slightly, just pry it open. And at that point you can go ahead and take out the button, power button. Next, what I usually do is unscrew the ear hook. There's going to be a screw, Phillips screw. Use a Phillips screwdriver, take the screw out. Place the screw on the left side, ear hook. Next, I usually unsolder everything on the board so you won't have to unsolder the speaker. You will just have to unsolder it to the board, so you don't have to take apart the speaker. But on the right side, you will have to take apart the speaker because the wire will have to, because it is attached to the main wire. But this one is just its own separate wires. So go ahead and place it on some alligator clips. It's nice to have something to hold in order to just work. It just keeps your hands free so you can work a lot better. Let's go ahead and heat up there's some sort of just glue that you will just have to remove. Heat works well to remove it. So I usually heat that up. Just use something sharp like a small pry tool, and it usually that glue just comes apart. Just get the glue out. And the other side, just where all the power, Bluetooth, the right speaker, all those wires, the glue will also have to be taken apart. And just use a good amount of heat on those. Go ahead and take apart the glue. It is very easy to damage the terminals because when you are prying it up, you can catch the wire and you can pull up, and it will damage the terminals on the board, which then the board can't be used anymore. So at this point, go ahead and grab your solder gun. I usually set it to 650 degrees just to make sure everything's good before I solder. Get some flux on both ends, just so the wires don't get burnt, so it's nice, so it comes off very neat. Use the pry tool. Grab each individual wire that you are unsoldering. And under this cover, or under this plastic film, there will be a terminal there, so you just have to unsolder that terminal also. This one. Go ahead and set the board aside. Next, you will just need to heat up the spot where it's glued, just enough to pull the main wire out, since we unsoldered everything and everything's ready to be pulled out. Just grab it and it'll pull right out. So we'll go ahead and set this main wire aside. I like to put each side individually on, so then you don't get mixed up with parts. So I usually first clean up all the glue that's on here, because then it won't let the covers sit nice and neat on top of the housing. It's like a type of silicone. It's not really glue, it's more like just a filament. And then I usually heat up the inside where the wire is gonna come in. If you don't take that residue out of there, the new main wire will not fit through there, and it will get filled in later on with some B7000 that we use. Pull it all out. Okay, now we can grab our new main wire with both ends good. It's been tested with the multimeter. Everything functions. Before you use a new main wire, make sure you do test it with the multimeter before you spend all this time and work putting it together, to make sure it all works out. So I usually examine the main wire first. Make sure there's no bristles hanging out. Just make sure each individual wire all has its original color to it. So since it's the left side, it's the one with a lot of wires for power. So first of all, I usually go in and just twist them all together. Not rub them together, but twist them together. So then the main wire, so then the wires do stay together still. Then go ahead and put that back on there. And then feed the wires through. And then what I usually do is take the ear hook just to make sure it's solid now. Take the screw, Phillips screwdriver. And make sure you are going in both holes at the same time, because sometimes they are not aligned. You just have to make sure that you are not missing the holes that the screw is supposed to go into. So this one is excellent because I was holding both the two pieces together to make sure the screw goes perfectly into the holes. So next I just unwind this since it's already in through the hole. And then I usually go ahead and grab the board, and gotta make sure the solder points are all spread apart. Make sure they're not all together. Let's go ahead and use your pry tool. And then the white wire goes on top. The yellow wire goes on the bottom. And then go ahead and get the black wire first, because you will have to put it on first, or it's going to be very uncomfortable to do it last. Since it's not tinned, add some flux. Go ahead and tin the wire. Get some solder, go ahead and tin it. Move up the plastic piece. Then go ahead and then the yellow wire goes first on those terminals. And then the rest go afterwards. And you could put that plastic piece back down there. The white wire goes second from last. Then the red and green one goes on the last one. There's still a plastic piece on there that will need to be removed before soldering it back on. Once the wires are all soldered on, go ahead and push down on the main board and put it through those two plastic ends. Push down on it. Make sure all the wires are nice and tidy in there. Since we're already cleaned the housing up, next it's time to clean up the actual piece. Then you can go ahead and see if the cover fits on very nicely, which it does. So don't glue it yet, because you will need to see if everything functions before you do glue anything back on. So set that aside. Let's take apart the right side. There's a little bit of heat. Set that aside. You will need to unsolder the battery, which it does have some glue on it, which you would have to heat it up. And then remove the glue before unsoldering. Add some flux to remove it nice and easy. Battery aside too. Looks like it's a good battery. Go ahead and get your Phillips screwdriver. Unscrew it. Take out the ear hook. And you will need to remove the speaker. You do that by heating it up. Using a pry tool, prying up, should come right out. Unsolder it. When you solder it back together, it doesn't matter which point goes where, as long as it's making a complete circuit. Set the speaker aside, pull out the wire, heat up the main wire. Pull it out. This main wire could be set aside. It's not good, but you could still use the buttons and the control talk module out of your old one. So just keep that in mind. Set that one aside. Bring in the good one, the good main wire. Go ahead and clean up the housing like we did last time for the other side. And then in order to put the speaker back on, we will have to remove that glue. Go ahead and turn the wires together, twist them together, like we did last time with those other wires, in order for it to fit nicely through. And then go ahead and take your ear hook back on. And then take these two wires for the speaker and put them back where they belong. It's a little bit difficult to do that because they're so small. Once they're in, just lift them up. Get the speaker. Solder it back on. Go ahead and solder the battery back on. Blue is first. Go ahead and solder the last wire on. And it is resetting, so that is a good sign. And you will need to plug it into the computer and reset it for it to power on. Put the battery back in. Go ahead and get the cover. See if it fits nice and good. Go ahead and get super glue. Super glue the speaker back on. Just add a good amount in the grooves. And then it'll pop right in there since you removed all the glues. Wait about 10 seconds. Go ahead, take the cover back on, off, and then take some B7000. It's almost gone. Didn't want to use a new one. Apply B7000 on the side over here. And on the internals of the groove. If you just make a little mess with it, it's fine because it just rubs off really easy, nice and easy. Put the cover back on top. Put it over the cover, the rubber band, and twist it twice. Make sure the ear hook is out so it will not dent the ear hook. And this will hold the cover. Make sure it dries 2 to 3 hours. It preferably be 5 hours to dry so it's nice and solid so it doesn't come up on you. And do the same to the other side. Do not add any on the button because if you do add it on the button, it will be sticky and it will not turn on and off anymore. So do not put any B7000 on the button. Slip the cover back on. Make sure and put the rubber band on this side. Remove the ear hook. And that is how you replace a main wire on a Powerbeats 3 wireless. Thanks for watching, guys.